Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kain and in today's video I'll go over all the Vladimir matchups. Keep in mind, I do have a lot of experience in both playing and coaching Vladimir, but tier lists are always subjective as there are so many variables that can influence them. Think of rank, jungle matchups, early versus scaling comps, personal experience, etc. Now with that being said, let's get started. So let's start with a very hard matchup. First of all we have Karma. Karma has insane poke, a lot of sustain, a lot of survivability, and she's both useful in the early and late game, so she's always impactful. Her survivability basically forces you to go defensive runes, as you can't really kill her anyway. Now luckily for us, Karma mid is currently not really a thing, so let's pray that it stays that way. Second is Orianna. Orianna has very high range, high early game damage, and high late game damage. She can consistently poke you, and she also scales pretty well and offers utility to her team. So not only can she really punish you in the lane phase, she's also very useful in the mid and late game. Now you can go defensive runes, for example Phase Rush with Resolve Secondary, but I like to go Airy Scorch and Fistfight Orianna early, for example at level 1, 2, 3, to make sure that I can win the lane. Now rushing Ionian Boots feels great in this matchup. The extra movement speed allows you to dodge her abilities easier, and the extra ability haste gives you a lot more sustain. Now Orianna can be easy all-in at level 6 if you have Ghost, so Ghost is actually a necessity in this matchup for me personally, and this is going to be true for most mages. Because most mages, their main weakness is going to be their lack of mobility. So if you use Ghost and you can all-in them at level 6, that is their main weakness. Now let's move on to number 3, Ryze. Ryze slightly outranges you and can combo you for like 70% of your HP bar in one go. Your best bet to win this lane is to fight him early on before his first or second recall, because at this point he has a limited amount of mana and his damage is relatively low. Now what makes this matchup really so hard is the fact that he can not only choose to bully you, but if he wishes to, he can also permanently push the wave and roam to impact the map. Scaling wise, Ryze scales amazingly. I would say he scales less good than a Vladimir, especially due to his lack of self-peel. Because due to his lack of self-peel, he's killed quite easily if someone stuns or slows him, and it's quite hard for a Ryze to avoid being CC'd, as his champion has short range, so he's basically always forced to walk up. So even though he scales good, he scales less good than a Vladimir. Now for the Ryze matchup I recommend going Phase Rush, thus a more defensive setup, as fist fighting a Ryze will almost always be favorable for him, as he just slightly outranges you and he can easily keep you into place and just combo you without you being able to trade back. Now let's move on to the hard matchups. We'll start with Syndra. Syndra has a very high range, low ability cooldowns and scales amazingly, especially versus Vlad, because Syndra has an easy time hitting you with her spells, giving her a lot of stacks which allows her to outpace you in scaling. So this is the difficulty about the Syndra matchup. She doesn't have to kill you in order to become strong, because she can constantly attack you and poke you with her abilities, getting her stacks quickly, and then she will automatically become strong. Now her E also allows her to be relatively safe, and if you choose to dodge her E, she might ult you, so you always have to be careful about when to use your W. Obviously, before level 6, using your W to dodge her E is actually a very good thing to do. Now you can go both defensive and aggressive runes, but personally I prefer to go aggressive runes and fistfight Syndra, especially before level 7 or 8. Because at level 7 or 8, that's when she typically gets her upgraded Q, which allows her to trade a lot easier with you, and before that, you actually have quite an easy time trading with her if you really pay attention to it, if you pressure her on minions, if you W her E, things like that. Now again, Ghost in these mage matchups feel really good, as it allows you to punish them immensely when they overstep or make one mistake, because that's their main weakness, the fact that they are immobile. Now number 2, Viktor. Viktor is quite similar to Syndra, but I would say that Viktor is stronger than Syndra in the early stages of the lane, especially pre-level 6. Syndra has to scale a bit, whereas Viktor is actually already a very strong lane bully pre-level 6. Now this makes it more viable to go defensive runes into the Viktor matchup. However, personally I like to go aggressive runes, as I feel like Viktor is an easy all-in champion at level 6 and even pre-6. For example, if he misses his E or uses it on the wave, you can pressure him a lot, which is more difficult to do in the Syndra matchup, as her Q cooldown is lower than Viktor's E cooldown, so in the Syndra matchup you don't have that much time to punish her when her Q is down. In the Viktor matchup, you have a lot of time. Now, the thing you can abuse the most in this matchup is the fact that Viktor basically doesn't have any self-peel, as you can easily dodge or even pull his W. Therefore, using Ghost is very good again in this matchup to run him down. Also, a very useful trick, especially like on the first recall or the second recall before Viktor has his lost chapter is baiting Viktor into Qing you, but only letting him hit his Q animation onto you, but not the empowered auto attack. Because if you do this consistently, he will run out of mana before being able to kill you, pre-lost chapter that is. Once he has lost chapter, he does have a lot of mana. Let's move on to the Rumble matchup. Rumble is a very annoying matchup. He can just position behind your wave in front of your turret and try to snipe you with his harpoons. Now if he does snipe you, at all costs avoid trading with him as it gives him magic penetration. Now whenever he misses his harpoons or he is overheated, that's when you have an all-in window. Now Ghost in this matchup is a must as he has an easy time running you down, especially when he hits you with his harpoons. Aggressive runes is possible in this matchup, especially mid lane, but I would go for Phase Rust both in top and mid, as Phase Rust is just so good against Rumble since he likes to run you down and you can easily escape and basically make his slow less good, because Phase Rust gives you slow resistance. Number 4, Akshan. The most annoying thing about this matchup is that he is both strong in punishing you, but also in roaming. Now if we compare Akshan to mages, well, most mages for example are good at poking you, but they're not so good at roaming. But Akshan is good at both, which gives him a lot of potential to win the game. Now you should aim to take short raids with Akshan and gradually poke him down as you have more sustain in your kit than that he does. And once you hit level 6, surprisingly, you can actually easily all-in Akshan and one-shot him. Now, if Akshan does build magic resist like a Wit's End or Mercury Threads, it's going to be quite impossible to kill him, which is another reason why he's annoying to play against. Let's move on to number 5, Zoe. Zoe is a very niche champion that doesn't get picked a lot, so I'm not going to worry too much about her here. However, she has good poke with her Q and the AoE damage her Q does, but she also has a lot of burst when she hits her E. And the problem is, whenever you try to W, you need to dodge her E, because if you W after she hit you with her E, you will still be stunned after you come out of your pool. However, once again, you can easily all-in Zoe after level 6, so again, Ghost feels really good in this matchup to punish the fact that she's relatively immobile. Number 6, Azir. Azir is one of those mid laners who's great at poking you and scales really well, but his roaming isn't the best, which makes me label him as a hard champion and not a very hard champion. I feel like fist fighting is the best in this matchup, as he is quite vulnerable without his ult, because even if he uses E, if you have Ghost, you can easily run him down. Also, Azir is quite weak before his first item, which means you can actually perma fist fight him during the early lane phase. Another tip could be that if you position next to the wave and Azir places his soldiers on top of you, now his soldiers aren't in range of hitting the wave, so now if you walk to the other side of the lane, you can actually walk up and look to attack Azir, because he needs to walk up to farm the minions now with his last hits because his soldiers aren't in range. Number 7, Ziggs. Now very similar to Azir, Ziggs is great at poking you and scaling, but not that good at roaming. So the early lane phase might be annoying, especially when the Ziggs has lost chapter, but keep in mind, Ziggs is super all-inable at level 6. So again, just go Ghost, skill to level 6, and then you just all-in him and you can actually just turret dive him on repeat. Number 8, Anivia. Now the only reason why I put Anivia in hard and not in very hard is the fact that pre-level 6, this matchup is actually quite easy. Now, once she hits level 6, she can easily remove your HP bar with one combo and she gains a stupid amount of wave clear, and on top of that, she also scales pretty well. Now, Ghost is your main tool here to all-in her whenever you see an opportunity. And also rushing boots in this matchup is a must to walk away from her CC, and preferably you buy Ionian boots for the extra sustain, because believe me, you'll need it. Now pre-level 6, you can look to dodge her Q or her E, but once she hits 6, she can just ult you and then hit E, so then it's better to dodge her E always. Now into the Anivia matchup, you could go aggressive runes, but it's going to be very difficult to use them properly against a very good Anivia, so then you might as well go Phase Rush with Resolve secondary and go something like Second Wind Revitalize, for example, in your Resolve tree. Number 9, Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is a very hit or miss matchup. Dodging her Qs is an absolute must, so at all costs, you must rush boots to dodge her Qs. Phase Rush and Ghost are recommended in this matchup, as she does like to run you down. However, running her down with Ghost is difficult, as next to her Q, she also has great anti-engage abilities, such as her W and her ult. Now, Cassiopeia's main weakness is her short range, but Vladimir also has short range, which is annoying for Vlad players. And on top of that, many Cassio players also go Ghost, which kinda nullifies your Ghost. However, sometimes Cassio players go Teleport, And then if you have Ghost, you have a great advantage. So always make sure to pick Ghost, just in case that she has teleport, then you will have a great advantage. And obviously always play mind games with her Q. Try to bait her Q with your movement and then you might have an all-in angle. Number 10, Irelia. Irelia is a great champion at all-inning you, but pre-level 6, Vladimir is definitely favored, as you will win every trade as long as you W her E, and especially if you go fistfighting runes. Now the problem is that once Irelia hits level 6, now you have to choose between dodging her E or her ultimate, because now she has two abilities to completely destroy you. So the key here is to take aggressive runes and look to destroy Irelia pre-level 6. Now, Irelia also likes to buy items like Blade of the Rune King, Wit's End, Mercury Threads, which are all items that counter Vladimir very hard. So even if you do get an Irelia behind, during the mid game and late game if she does have these items, you will have a hard time fighting her in the side lane or even in team fights. Now Ghost for me is a must in this matchup. Ignite is also very useful, but it's optional. I feel like Ghost is more important because Ghost allows you to also run away, whereas Ignite is mainly a fist fighting tool. Now boots are optional, but I do like to rush Ionian boots in this matchup, simply because it gives me more sustain, it gives me more cooldown on my pool, so whenever Irelia wants to catch me off guard with E or ult, now I have my pool more up, and also the extra movement speed helps me to run Irelia down or to prevent myself from getting run down by Irelia. Now let's move on to the medium matchups. Number 1, Brand. Now Brand is annoying in lane as he can just WE the backline minions and he can hit everything that's standing in the lane basically. So he has good poke. However, dodging his W and Q are very easy, so you mainly have to deal with his annoying E poke. This makes him decent at bullying you, but he's not good at roaming, so that makes it a medium hard matchup, right? Just medium. Now Brand is very immobile and quite squishy, so starting from level 6, you can just all-in him with your Ghost. And another tip, you can look to dodge his ultimate with your W. Number 2, Lux. Lux has a very long range, and her E is very wide, which allows her to hit you very easily. However, your W allows you to dodge all of her abilities, as all of her abilities are skill shots, so timing your W is crucial. Now at level 6, Lux is basically a minion that you can permanently one-shot. So make sure that you Ghost at her when you're level 6, and you W her Q. As long as you W her Q, there's nothing that can stop you from all-inning her and just one-tapping her. So this matchup is basically you just scale to level 6, and then you just all-in her. Number 3, Malzahar. Malzahar is great at pushing and decent at roaming and also very good at jungle setup with his ultimate. But you can consistently use your E to kill his voidlings. However, you're still going to have a rough time matching his wave clear. He's also very difficult to all-in or turret dive due to his ultimate. But the reason why this is not a hard matchup, I would say, is that pre-level 6, Malzahar is extremely weak and you can just bully him really hard. So I do recommend going aggressive runes. And then depending on how hard you could bully him pre-level 6, you can typically just also destroy him after level 6, but it really depends on the jungle matchup. This could be a very hard matchup if they have something like a Xin Zhao, or a Shaco, or a Sejuani, just junglers who permanently like to gank mid. Number 4, Galio. Now, Galio is annoying as your Q range is about his E range, and even if you dodge his E with your W, he can just wait until you're out of your W, and then he Ws you and Qs you for half of your HP bar as his Q does percentage HP damage. Galio also has quite a good jungle setup, and he can impact the game a lot with his ultimate or just with his roams. However, he is beatable in the 1v1, especially if you start fistfighting him from level 1. So I prefer going Conqueror in this matchup, and Ghost is also pretty nice to be able to punish him whenever he wastes his E or his W. Number 5, Yone. Yone's main strength is that he can easily all-in you with his Q dash, E and ultimate. Now you need to look to go aggressive runes and bully Yone very hard pre-level 6, because once he hits level 6, the matchup becomes a lot more difficult. Now, Ghost is obviously great to run him down, but my main issue with this matchup is that even when Yone is behind, he tends to build items like Blade of Rune King, Wit's End and Shield Bow, which allows him to easily fistfight you in the side lane. So even though if you really destroy Yone level 1, 2, 3 and then you like turret dive him or you freeze him and you create a massive lead, you will always have to be careful of Yone in the mid and late game, and you may never waste your pool or you're dead. Now a useful tip for the lane, whenever you have an empowered Q, and Yone has his empowered Q, he will typically think that he can just dash forward, knock you up, and walk away before you can Q him. But you can actually input buffer your Q by clicking on his character model and pressing Q whenever you think he's about to dash forward. Then he will knock you up, but your Q will go off before you get knocked up. And also, last but not least, make sure that whenever he uses his W, you wait until his shield is gone before trading back. Number 6, Leblanc. Now, Leblanc can be a difficult matchup pre-level 6, especially when she hits her chain onto you. So you should always look to stand close to your minions so you can dodge her E, and then you can use your pool to dodge her QW combo. Now keep in mind, good Leblancs, they will look to kill the minions, or they will look to trim the minions, like get the minions low, and then you stand behind your minions and they W onto the minions, and now the minions are dead and they get a free chain onto you. So be aware of that mechanic. Now, once you're level 6, you just have to stall this matchup to level 6, and then you can literally just permanently ult Leblanc on cooldown. Whenever you have ult, you just ult her to get her low, and she can't do anything at this point. So basically that's all there is to this matchup. Number 7, Annie. Now, pre-level 6, you can easily abuse a bad Annie as you literally outtrade her with fist-fighting runes. For example, when you go Airy Scorch. And you can also W her stun. However, a good Annie will stand behind your wave at level 1 to zone you from the minions and spam her ultra long range auto attacks onto you. Now, at level 6, you need to predict her ultimate as it will literally one-tap you. However, the same goes for her. If you can hit her with a full combo, she will be one-shot. Number 8, Taliyah. The Taliyah matchup is quite easy as you can literally W her two main threatening abilities, her W and E combo. However, she can look to perma wave clear and roam as she's pretty good at roaming, especially starting from level 6. But you do have a lot of all-in pressure onto her when you hit level 6, so going Ghost is very good in this matchup and rushing Boots as well. Number 9, Akali. Now, Akali always feels unkillable, and starting from level 6, she always has potential to one-shot you. So it's crucial that you punish her pre-level 6. Now you should win every trade pre-level 6 if you do go fistfight runes, as long as you W her E. Now you can use your W to dodge her initial E, but that might be dangerous. If she hits it, then you might be screwed. So it's smarter to, if you need to, let her hit you with her E, and then when she's E2ing onto you, like she's activating her E, then just pull the E2 damage. Now, Ghost can help you a lot to run her down after she used her W and E or wasted her ultimate. And you don't have to go fistfight setup in this matchup. You could also go phase rush, for example. It's also very viable. And then, for example, you could go resolve secondary. And then in resolve, you could, for example, opt for bone plating, or perhaps for conditioning and overgrowth to make you stronger, have more HP, more armor, so that she can't just randomly one-shot you. Number 10, Sylas. Now versus Sylas, just go fistfight runes and destroy him pre-level 6. He can literally not win if you go, for example, Airy Scorch, but also Conqueror is viable. Now, all you need to do is you need to stand behind your minions to dodge his E, and you can use your W to dodge his W. Now if you do this correctly, he won't get the damage off onto you, and he won't get the healing off onto you. So he will basically be useless after that, so you have a free trade. And now in this matchup you can go Ghost to run him down after he filled his W, for example, but also Ignite is a viable option here, because basically versus any healing champion, Ignite is great because it applies grievous wounds, meaning they will heal less, and also in very fistfight heavy matchups, Ignite might be useful. Number 11, Heimerdinger. Now Heimerdinger will basically just perma-push and look to poke you. So all you have to do is look to W his stun and try to sustain your way out of this lane, because Heimerdinger is bad at roaming. So all he's doing is he's basically feeding you farm, and at level 6, if you're careful of his ultimate, you can all-in him. Now Ghost is obviously great for running him down at level 6, or to punish him whenever he wastes his stun pre-level 6. And going defensive runes, I would say, is optimal here, as you will mainly be sitting under your turret, he will mainly be looking to poke you, so then going something like Phase Rush with secondary like Second Wind, Revitalize, or Overgrowth is a great option so that you can scale towards the later game team fights, as all he's doing is basically just feeding you farm constantly. Number 12, Pantheon. Even though you can W Pantheon stun, he can consistently poke you with his Qs in the early lane phase, which is really annoying. Now, he typically also runs Ignite, which also sucks. However, once you have some ability haste, you can outsustain Pantheon's damage, and then you can easily all-in him at level 6 whenever you W his stun. So fistfight runes are great in this matchup, Ghost is great in this matchup, and you could even go Ignite, but it's optional. Typically when I play versus Pantheon, I would go Ignite. Number 13, Lissandra. Now, as long as you stand next to the wave, you can easily win trades if you go aggro runes. Now at level 6, she has great gank setup and basically counters your ultimate. So you should look to punish her pre-level 6, so that means go an aggressive setup. Number 14, Kassadin. Now the Kassadin matchup is extremely easy pre-level 6, if you go fistfighting runes. However, once Kassadin reaches level 6, he actually has kill pressure onto you and he can roam quite effectively. Now the goal here is to basically get him behind pre-level 6, and if you manage to do that by playing turbo aggressive, you will dominate him the entire game. So make sure that you really zone him from CS, you look to kill him, perhaps you turret dive him pre-level 6. And if you get the lead on top of him, then you will be ahead of him for the rest of the game. Number 15, Vel'koz. Vel'koz can be annoying as he has both skill shots that force you to stand in the wave and next to the wave. However, pre-level 6, you can fight him as long as you W his E. Now, he is very long range, I call him an artillery mage, so typically you will not be able to fight him and you will just have to CS and focus on the wave. Now, you can look to all-in him at level 6, especially if he has teleport. If he has barrier, roaming is perhaps a better option, or just scaling and basically farming. Now, pre-level 6 what I like to do is I like to keep the wave on my side of the lane, and then perhaps my jungler can have a great ganking opportunity, as one of Vel'koz's main weaknesses is his lack of mobility. Number 16, Aurelion Sol. Now, Aurelion Sol has a surprising amount of early damage with his Q, so look to take short trades, and if you use fistfight runes, you will drain his HP bar basically quite effectively. Now, Sol likes to push because he needs to stack so you can easily keep the wave on your side of the lane and look to all-in him. However, due to his W, you will probably need Ghost to all-in him. Now, you can also just scale versus Sol and go teamfight runes like Phase Rush, Ghost Flash, and then just play for teamfights and just scale because you do outscale Sol. And lastly, whenever Sol activates his E on the wave, look to walk up and damage him to bait him into attacking you and losing out on stacks and CS. Number 17, Zed. Pre-level 6, you can easily zone Zed from CS and fistfight him with aggressive runes. After level 6, you can dodge his ultimate. However, Zed doesn't always need his ultimate to kill you, because Zed has insane damage after his first item, so always be careful of your W usage. Now, especially pre-level 6, be careful of him teleporting to his W behind you, and then he runs you down with his Ignite and Nimbus Cloak combination. If you avoid getting caught by that, the matchup should be fine. And then Zed is also a champion who likes to roam a lot, so obviously starting from level 6, you can always just ult him on cooldown and get him low, because if he's low, he can't really impact the map. Number 18, Corki. Now Corki used to be quite an easy matchup, but ever since he's full AD now, his early game has improved significantly, and now he has more trading power, especially with his E, but also with his Q. However, you can easily bait his E with movement or your W and then all-in him. Now you might need Ghost to all-in him due to his W. Once Corki hits level 6, he has a lot more range and it will be basically impossible to get onto him if you don't perma push and look to dive, but you could also just scale because you do outscale Corki. Number 19, Yasuo. You can easily beat Yasuo pre-level 6 if you just go fistfight runes and play mind games with his W. Sometimes you should release your E quickly and then other times charge it longer. Now when facing Yasuo, you typically take longer extended trades. So start trading when you have one Q stack, so that your second Q, will be an empowered one. And also look to remove his shield before trading. Now Yasuo has very short ability cooldowns, so it's crucial to make your ability cooldowns lower as well. You can do this by stacking ability haste, like rushing Ionian Boots and Fiendish Codex. And obviously in your runes, you can also look for Transcendence and things like that. Now, once Yasuo hits level 6, you should just look to W his Q knockup and you should be fine. Now, the Yasuo matchup is very similar to the Yone matchup. Yasuo can easily build Blade of the Rune King with Sand and Shield Bow, which makes it hard for you to fight him in the side lane, even if he's behind, so always be aware of this. Number 20, Twisted Fate. Now this matchup is quite easy as long as you dodge his gold card, his blue card, his red card with your W, but if it's really necessary, because you have to keep in mind that his gold card timer is shorter than your W timer. Now just go fistfight runes and destroy him in the early game, and Ghost is also really good in this matchup as he has 0 mobility. Now once both of you hit level 6, you should look to permanently ult him off cooldown, so he's always low HP and he can never roam. The problem with this is that if he has a jungler who's permanently hovering mid lane, you might find it a hard time to walk up and get into his range to ult him and get him low, because his jungler might constantly be ganking you. If that's the case, well then you're just going to have to sit in lane and you're going to have to let him roam. That's so annoying about the Twisted Fate matchup. Number 21, Vex. Vex has long range poke with Q and E, but you can easily dodge as the animations are quite slow and it's her only wave clear tool, so whenever she uses them on the wave, you can pressure her. The main thing in this matchup is that you need to avoid getting feared. Now I typically avoid fighting her too much pre-level 6, but after level 6, if she wastes her fear, I tend to all in her and one-shot her. Now Vex is also a big snowball champion, so you could definitely also choose to permanently ult her starting from level 6, so she's always low and can never impact the map to snowball herself. Number 22, Ekko. Now Ekko is strong at every point of the game. Even at level 1, he can go Hail of Blades and start with E. Now avoid getting hit by his Q, and then you should win every trade with fistfighting runes pre-level 6. Now Phase Rush is also an option as Ekko likes to run you down, but I almost always go fistfighting runes. Now keep in mind you can cancel Ekko's E by using your W, but I typically like to let him E onto me, then I instantly W after he E'd onto me, and now he takes damage from my W, I get healing, and because he's slowed, I will also have increased movement speed, and that allows me to create distance between me and him, which again allows me to basically hit him with my ranged abilities and poke him with my auto attacks. Now Ekko is also a very snowball oriented champion, so again, you can always look to permanently ult him to keep him low starting from level 6. Number 23, Talon. Now Talon is quite an easy matchup as you can easily dodge his full combo both pre-level 6 and after level 6. Now the difficulty of this matchup lies in keeping Talon in lane. Now permanently ulting Talon starting from level 6 is a great strategy to prevent him from impacting the map. Additionally, also look to hover the side of the map where potential fights can break out so that whenever Talon moves, you can also move quickly. Now fistfighting runes are great in this matchup to constantly keep him low, and then Ghost is also good to follow him or to keep him in lane, to run him down to turret dive him. Number 24, Ahri. Now Ahri isn't that hard of a matchup as you basically just win trades if you Q her with your fistfighting runes. Now you just need to make sure that you can dodge her charm, and if needed you can do that with your W. Another tip is to avoid standing diagonally with Ahri as she will always look to hit you and the wave at the same time with her Q. So you need to make sure that that doesn't happen. Now Ahri also likes to move and roam, so again, permanently ulting her starting from level 6 is also a decent strategy. Another great tip is that Ahri typically goes electrocute, so especially pre-level 6, look to just poke her with Q and instantly get out. This way your AoE damage will be higher than her electrocute damage as she won't be able to proc her electrocute because the trade is too short. Now be careful, Ahri does always have great gank setup and she can always surprise you with an E flash combo, so keep your W ready for that, or if you don't have W, keep your flash ready for that. That's why this matchup is a little bit sketchy, a little bit scary. Number 25, Naafiri. Now this matchup can be extremely annoying, but it's actually quite easy as long as you avoid getting hit twice in a row by her Q to avoid the bleed effect. Now, as for her W, you can easily pull it and just walk away. Now fistfighting runes do help a lot in this matchup, and rushing boots is a must as it allows you to have a much easier time dodging her Qs and her all-ins. Now starting from level 6, just like all the other roaming champions, you can look to permanently ult her to keep her low. Number 26, Hui. Now Hui is stupidly annoying as it feels like he has 0 ability cooldowns. Killing a Hui is extremely difficult as he has absurd range, wave clear and CC. Now I suggest just scaling with Phase Rush for teamfights as you will outscale him in the late game and he's not that good at roaming in the early game anyway. So if he perma pushes, he is basically just spoon feeding you gold. And number 27, Neeko. Now Neeko used to be an impossible matchup, but after her changes, I rarely see her mid anymore. And nowadays it just feels like you can easily outsustain her in the early game and just outscale her in the late game. But I really swear, like in the last year I've maybe seen 5 Neeko players who actually play Neeko in the mid lane. Now let's move on to the easy matchups. First up, Swain. Now literally all you have to do in this matchup is not getting hit by his pull, and then you will always win trades, especially when you have Ahri or Conqueror. Now be careful of a level 6 Swain though, as his ultimate is ridiculously strong. So just stop fighting him and let his ult run out and you'll be fine. It's very similar to Illaoi ult really. And if you want to, you can rush Boots to dodge his pull, but it doesn't really feel necessary in this matchup. Number 2, Katarina. Versus Katarina, you should definitely go fistfight runes and destroy her pre-level 6. This is a very easy matchup. All you have to be careful with is that if you're pushing, be careful that she might hit level 3 before you or at the same time, and then she might all-in you, so you have to avoid getting all-in by her at level 3. If you do that, you should be fine. Now after level 6, keep your W to dodge her ultimate and you will basically win every all-in. But make sure to time your all-ins properly, meaning make sure that the next incoming wave isn't close to the mid lane, because if that's the case, Katarina will just escape from your all-in, by pressing her E on the incoming minion wave. And now, starting from level 6, just like all the other roaming champions, you can look to permanently ult Katarina to keep her low. Number 3, Fizz. Now very similar to Katarina, just go Fizz fighting runes versus Fizz and destroy him level 1, level 2, level 3. And then you can choose to turret dive him or to freeze onto him. Now pre-level 6, hold your W to dodge his E if necessary, and after level 6, use your W to dodge his ultimate. Starting from level 6, just like all the other roaming champions, you can look to permanently ult him to keep him low again. Number 4, Xerath. Now Xerath is an easy matchup as he needs to use his W on the wave to farm and wave clear, so whenever he used his Q, you can look to walk up and pressure him. Now just make sure to stand next to the wave so he doesn't hit you and the wave at the same time. And don't forget to use your W to dodge his E, and if you do that, you can basically permanently turret dive him starting from level 6. You just ghost to him, you turret diving, and whenever he wants to stop you so he E's you, you just pull, and then you would just kill him. So Xerath is a long range champion, so ghost is basically a must in this matchup, and you can rush boots to make it easier to get onto him and to dodge his skill shots. Number 5, Qiyana. Versus Qiyana, you should definitely go Fizz fighting runes and destroy her pre-level 6. After level 6, use your W to dodge her ultimate, and again, you can permanently ult her starting from level 6 to keep her low and stop her from impacting the map. Now just like most melee champions, versus Qiyana, just look to bully her level 1, level 2, level 3 with your ranged auto attacks and Q, and then just turret dive her or look to freeze her. Number 6, Veigar. Make sure to never let Veigar farm minions with his Q and hit you at the same time. Now you can surprise all in him, especially at level 6, by using W to dodge his cage. Now you are basically the only one in this matchup who has kill pressure, but keep in mind, Veigar does have better jungle setup with his cage, so don't waste your W or he will just cage you and then you will get ganked by the jungler and you will die. Now the thing about Veigar is it's a very easy matchup, you can just relax and scale, but the problem is that Veigar also scales really well. And he might in a late game teamfight have a similar impact on the game like your impact, because he's also a very strong scaling champion. So I prefer to play aggressive level 1, level 2, level 3 if possible, just to make sure that I can get a lead, and with that lead I can outpace his scaling as well, so I can get a bigger impact on the game. Now that was it for the normal champion tier list. Now I want to take a look at something else. So lastly, let's take a look at the mid lane champions that can outscale Vladimir. You'll see them on the screen. But I'm not going to go over them, you'll just see them on the screen, and I'll just explain what I mean with this. So these aren't champions that are stronger than Vladimir at full build, but rather champions that can accelerate extremely fast throughout the game and outpace Vladimir in scaling. Now, these are champions that can prevent Vladimir from scaling to the late game and just 1v9 the game themselves because they have a stacking mechanism, for example, that can accelerate their gameplay, or maybe they have an extremely strong level 16 power spike that also allows them to 1v9 and outpace Vladimir in scaling if they get to these power spikes before Vladimir reaches his power spikes. So these are champions that if they get, like for example, take a Viktor. If Viktor gets many kills or assists, he gets a lot of stacks, meaning his abilities will upgrade quite quickly. If he gets many kills and assists, he will be so strong due to his stacks that he will be a lot stronger than you at some point. Due to the stacking mechanism, he will accelerate so hard, and then he might just end the game before he can scale. Now this is different with other champions. For example, if you play versus Yasuo and the Yasuo has 2 kills, then yes, he will be stronger than you, but if you play versus a Viktor and he has 2 kills on top of you, now he has 2 kills stronger, but he also has extra stacks, which will make his ability on top of the extra gold also stronger. So these champions accelerate a lot faster than other champions. So these are basically champions with very strong like acceleration in their game play with like stacking mechanisms, or just very strong level 16 levels like a Kassadin, for example. Now, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions or any remarks, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video.